Welcome to Trending Top, a different channel from those seen before. Let's start. Top 10 Strongest Dragons in House of Dragon. 10. Moondancer is a young dragon ridden by Baela Targaryen, the daughter of Daemon Targaryen. She is described as pale green, small, and very fast. Moondancer was a slender pale green. Her horns, crest, and wing bones were pearl. She was very quick, both in the sky and on the ground. Although in 129 AC Moondancer was not yet considered large enough to carry the 13-year-old Baela Targaryen upon her back, a year later Baela was able to mount the dragon. In position 9 there is a triple tie. Tyraxes is another young dragon who is ridden by Joffrey Valerion, Rhaenyra's third son with Laenor Valerion/Harwin Strong. Tyraxes was thriving and growing larger every year. He was slightly smaller than Vermax and Nerix. By the time of the Dance of the Dragons, he had recently been able to fly long distances with its rider, but was not quite big enough for combat yet. Eryx is bonded to Rhaenyra Targaryen's second son Lucerys Valerion. He was placed as an egg in Lucerys' crib and the pair grew up together. He is a small dragon, around the size of Drogon when Daenerys first flew him in Game of Thrones. Eryx's color is not stated in the published texts. However, the artist commissioned for the 2021 A Song of Ice and Fire calendar, Sam Hogg, asked for clarification from George R.R. Martin's team and was told that Eryx's coloration was pearlescent white with yellow flame, golden eyes, and a golden chest. Vermax is ridden by Prince Jacaerys Valerion, who is the eldest son of Rhaenyra Targaryen. He is a young dragon who was given to Jacaerys as an egg when the prince was born. Vermax was thriving and growing larger every year. Vermax became ill-tempered when in proximity of snow, ice, and cold. Vermax's coloring is not described in the books. In position 8 there is a triple tie. Sea Smoke is a silver-gray dragon who is ridden by Laenor Valerion, the son of Rhaenys Targaryen and Corlys Valerion. In the lore he is one of the smaller fully grown dragons, slightly smaller than Sunfire and Tessarion. Sea Smoke was a pale silver-gray dragon. It was of fighting size during the dance but still a young dragon and nimbler in the air than his older brothers. He was of comparable size to Tessarion, who was about 3 times smaller than Vermithor, and not as fearsome a beast as him in comparison. Tessarion. The Blue Queen is beautiful cobalt and copper she-dragon who is one of the youngest fully grown dragons in House of the Dragon. In the book, she is ridden by Daeron Targaryen, the youngest of Queen Alicent and King Viserys' children, though he hasn't appeared yet in the show. Tessarion was a beautiful blue she-dragon. Her wings were dark cobalt, while her claws, crest, and belly scales were the color of bright beaten copper. Her flames were cobalt blue in color as well. Sunfire. The Golden is ridden by King Viserys and Alicent Hightower's eldest son Aegon. Slightly smaller than Caraxes and Syrax, he is described as the most magnificent dragon to ever fly in Westeros. Sunfire has golden scales, breathes golden flames, and has pale pink wings. Also known as Sunfire the Golden was a male dragon ridden by King Aegon II Targaryen. The 3-headed Targaryen dragon in the arms of Aegon was made golden to honor Sunfire. Huge and heavy, the splendid Sunfire was a formidable fighter despite his youth. 7 Grey Ghost is another wild dragon living on Dragonstone. A secretive and elusive dragon who has never been ridden, he is medium-sized and described as the color of a morning mist. Grey Ghost was pale gray-white, the color of morning mist. He was a notably shy dragon who avoided men and their works for years at a time, which gave it his name. 6 Syrax had yellow scales. She was huge and formidable, but not as fearsome or experienced in battle as Caraxes. She was kept in chains and exceedingly well fed. She had not hunted for years at the time of the Civil War. Syrax was described as a young dragon at the time, and Rhaenyra herself named her Syrax, after a Valyrian goddess, strongly implying that Syrax had no previous rider. In position 5 there is a tie. Maleys had scarlet scales and pink membranes on her wings, for which she received her alias, the Red Queen. Her crest, horns, and claws were bright as copper. In 75 AC, Maleys was considered to be one of the swiftest dragons in Westeros, easily outpacing Caraxes and Vhagar. By 129 AC, Maleys had grown lazy, but was still fearsome when roused. Maleys was old, cunning and no stranger to battle. Caraxes. Caraxes the Blood Wyrm is ridden by Prince Daemon Targaryen, brother of King Viserys. Caraxes is described as a formidable huge blood-red dragon who is fearsome and battle-savvy. Caraxes was red, huge, and lean. In battle he was formidable, fearsome, and experienced. During the Dance of the Dragons, Caraxes was about half the size of the huge Vhagar. In position 4 there is a tie. Dreamfire is the mount of Helaena Targaryen, Queen Alicent's second child with King Viserys. She was hatched during the time of Aegon the Conqueror, so is huge and around 100 years old. There are theories she hatches Daenerys Targaryen's dragon eggs. Dreamfire was a slender she-dragon. Her coloration was primarily pale blue, with silver markings. She had silver crests and pale blue wings. Silverwing is an old dragon, formerly ridden by Queen Alicent Targaryen, King Viserys' grandmother. She is a large dragon, around the size of Caraxes, who coils at night with Vermithor, King Jaehaerys' Eye's former dragon. Silverwing has been described as a silvery dragon. She was considered relatively docile and friendly to strangers. In position 3 there is a tie. Sheepstealer was a wild male dragon during the Dance of the Dragons with a taste for mutton. It lived at the back of Dragonmont and would hunt between Driftmark and Wendwater. The small folk of Dragonstone named it for a self-evident reason. At the start of the Dance of the Dragons, he was one of 3 wild dragons living on Dragonstone. Sheepstealer's coloring was an ugly, mud brown. He was not aggressive towards humans unless provoked, but could be vicious and ill-tempered. While he devoured the occasional sheepdog, he never harmed a shepherd. Vermithor was a bronze dragon with great 10 wings. By the time of the Dance of the Dragons, Vermithor was almost 100 years old. Vermithor was a fearsome beast. Accustomed to men and having had a previous rider, by the reign of Aegon II Targaryen, Vermithor was tolerant of the presence of people and more accepting of new riders. Vermithor often coiled with Silverwing. 2. The Cannibal was a wild dragon that lived on Dragonstone during the Dance of the Dragons. The small folk of Dragonstone called him the Cannibal because he would practice cannibalism, feasting on dead dragons, newborn dragons, and dragon eggs. He was one of 3 completely wild dragons dwelling on Dragonstone, along with Sheepstealer and Grey Ghost. The Cannibal was black as coal, with menacing green eyes. He was the largest and oldest of the wild dragons. 1. Vhagar was one of the 3 legendary dragons who first conquered Westeros, alongside Balerion and Meraxes. In House of the Dragon she is the largest and most powerful dragon alive. She is ridden by Lena Velaryon and Aemon Targaryen. Honorific mention. Velaryon, El Dragon de Aegon the Conqueror. Balerion the Black Dread is the legendary dragon who captured Westeros with Aegon the Conqueror. So huge his shadow could blot out a whole town, he dies of old age before the events of House of the Dragon. But he could appear in the series as a flashback, as he was ridden by King Viserys I. Thank you for coming this far. Subscribe to see more content like this. See you soon.